Welcome to New Horizon Channel. Israel is reportedly involved in assaults on the Syrian airport and offensives on Lebanon's rebels. Military insiders, as relayed by Sana'a news agency, have indicated that assaults on Syria's Damascus and Aleppo international airports have been orchestrated by the Israeli military at 5:25 local time. These attacks were reportedly conducted with missile salvos launched from the Mediterranean Sea, situated to the of Latakia and adjacent to the Golan Heights. On October 22, as per Syrian press briefings, a staff member at the Damascus airport tragically lost their life during the assault, and the airstrips at both airports endured severe damage. Flights originally scheduled to depart from these airports have been rerouted to Latakia by the Syrian Ministry of Transport. The Israeli military has refrained from commenting on these claims. Israel has been implicated in an array of assaults on Syria in recent years, targeting areas believed to be associated with Iran, notably the airports in Aleppo and Damascus. Despite this, Israel seldom acknowledges such operations. Lebanon's territory was reportedly used by militants to attempt to fire anti-tank missiles at Israel, which the Israeli military claims to have thwarted. Furthermore, Israel affirms that they bombing locations in the southern Lebanon suburbs of Yarun and Bin Bay, following a missile strike on an Israeli settlement in Upper Galilee. The Israeli Ministry of Defense publicized that they had launched an attack on a Hezbollah location in Lebanon. Amidst these events, residents from 14 Israeli settlements bordering Lebanon were swiftly evacuated. Israel's defense ministry has disclosed a relocation plan involving residents from 14 settlements along the Lebanese border. This government-funded plan, which has been broadened by the defense ministry and the IDF, includes other communities in the northern part of the country. Additional northern settlements have been given clearance by Yoash Gallant, the country's defense minister, and the Northern Command has informed the corresponding authorities. Prior to this, the defense ministry had cleared the relocation of inhabitants from the city of Kiryas Shimon, which lies in the north close to the Lebanese border. In surprising move, the U.S. redirected the shipment of 55 L howitzers, originally planned for Ukraine, to Israel. The U.S. and its allies had considered various means to equip the Ukrainian military with artillery. However, the prevailing circumstances led to a shift in these plans. The American military is gearing up to send thousands of 155 howitzer shells, previously destined for Ukraine, to Israel. This occurred after the Israeli Defense Forces conveyed their need for these shells to the Pentagon for a likely ground assault in Gaza. This event happens in the backdrop of an extensive conflict involving Israeli military forces and Hamas, the militant group rooted in Gaza. Furthermore, tensions have heightened following confrontations between the Israeli military and Hezbollah, a paramilitary organization in southern Lebanon. The predicted arrival of the artillery in Israel is in the upcoming weeks. The announcement was made a day following U.S. President Joe Biden's trip to Israel, where he voiced fervent support for the country's military initiatives. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that President Biden pledged a grand military aid package unlike any seen before. Despite the Biden administration and European allies advocating for arming Ukraine, Israel's request for weaponry has swayed future aid shipments earmarked for Eastern Europe. This change in policy is noted during a time when the Ukrainian forces are grappling. Following several unsuccessful campaigns and recent high casualties, many Western sources forecast a review of their support for the Kiev government due to its failures in the ongoing counteroffensive. The deficiency of weapons has been a persistent worry for the Ukrainian military, whereas Russia's defense sector has not only augmented the production of ammunition for several critical weapon systems, but also benefited from considerable ammunition shipments from its allies. The decision to redirect ammunition to Israel is perceived as a means for the Western coalition to mitigate its stake in Ukraine's conflict and persuade the Kiev government to re-enter negotiations. The Russian foreign minister is slated for a visit to Iran in the following week. On the 22nd of October, as reported by Russian news agencies TASS and RIA, Maria Zakharova, spokesperson for Russia's foreign ministry, confirmed that Sergey Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, will be journeying to Tehran, the capital of Iran, for diplomatic talks on the succeeding day. Prior to this, Tehran extended an invitation to foreign ministers from Russia, Turkey, Azerbaijan, and Armenia for dialogue sessions held within its borders, as per Iran's official news agency, IRNA. These talks are taking place amidst intensifying conflicts in the Middle East and growing disputes over territorial rights between Armenia and Azerbaijan, particularly over the Nagorno-Karabakh region. Lately, both Russia and Iran have been deepening their bilateral ties in the face of Western sanctions. Reports surfaced about a naval vessel thwarting UAV attacks aimed at Israel, with a total of 19 missiles launched from Yemen across the Red Sea into Israel. CNN reported on the 20th of October, citing unnamed U.S. officials who were privy to the information, that the USS Carney guided missile destroyer intercepted 4 cruise missiles and 15 UAVs during a mission in the Red Sea. This operation spanned roughly 9 hours, with the targets traveling north along the Red Sea, implying their objective was to strike Israel. Some of the targets were flying at potentially hazardous altitudes for civilian flights. The USS Carney managed to neutralize them using SM-2 missiles. This report was inconsistent with earlier declarations from the U.S. Department of Defense, initially expressing doubt about the origins and intentions of the missiles, suspecting they may have been launched by Houthi forces in Yemen and possibly intended for Israel. The interception of these missile attacks and UAVs from Yemen targeting Israel by the U.S. has given rise to worries of the Gaza Strip conflict potentially spreading throughout the Middle East and dragging the United States into it. Two factions, both supported by Iran, have gained control over large parts of Yemen's territory, including its capital, Sana'a. These groups are locked in combat with the military alliance led by Saudi Arabia, which stepped in during March 2015 to reinstate the globally recognized government of President Abdrabbuh Mansour Hadi. To deter conflict, particularly in response to attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria, the United States has reinforced its military presence in the Middle East, stationing 2 carrier strike groups and a rapid reaction force of 2,000 Marines. The U.S. declared on October 22 that it would deploy Terminal High Altitude Area Defense (THAAD) missile defense systems and several Patriot missile defense batteries to the Middle East to bolster security. The U.S. has also recently boosted its naval presence in the region with 2 aircraft carriers and support vessels, along with about 2,000 Marines. Previously, the Biden administration had chosen to withdraw the THAAD system from the Middle East due to lowered tensions with Iran, but recent events have sparked concerns, leading to these deployments to safeguard U.S. forces in the region and fortify Israel's missile defense systems. The Patriot Missile Defense System, or Patriot, is regarded as one of the most sophisticated missile defense systems worldwide. Due to ongoing shortages, many U.S. allies are scrambling for access to this system. The THAAD system, equipped with a high-powered radar, was stationed in South Korea in 2016, leading to significant objections from Beijing over fears that it could encroach on Chinese sovereignty. Prior to this, the U.S. had significantly boosted its naval presence in the region in recent weeks, including 2 aircraft carriers and around 2,000 Marines. 2 years ago, the Biden administration decided to withdraw the THAAD system from the Middle East, citing reduced tensions with Iran. However, recent developments have raised concerns, leading to these deployments to protect U.S. forces in the region and support Israel's missile defense systems. The regional tensions have been escalating due to conflicts between Israel and Hamas, along with a surge in attacks against U.S. military personnel in Iraq and Syria. Israel imposed a comprehensive blockade of Gaza following an unexpected attack by Hamas in southern Israel on October 5, sparking over 2 weeks of conflict, resulting in over 4,300 and 1,400 fatalities in Gaza and Israel respectively. The U.S. has pledged its support for Israel and has expressed its readiness to offer military aid for Israel's response to Hamas. However, the U.S. also emphasizes the importance of adhering to the laws of war to minimize civilian casualties. The escalating conflict in the Middle East potentially paves the way for Europe to reconsider importing Russian oil. With the Israel-Hamas confrontation in the region escalating, oil prices are inching towards a staggering $100 per barrel. The Russian media outlet Kommersant highlights the surge in oil prices despite the lack of direct impact on the saturation of the market due to military actions. The global market might soon face a supply crunch with dimming prospects of nuclear deals and the discontinuation of the ban on oil exports from Iran. The likelihood of rising oil prices therefore cannot be ruled out. Further, the possibility of Arab nations financially backing Palestine in response to Israeli offensives could decrease Europe's oil supplies. Despite attempts to curb the unauthorized import of Russian oil and related products into Europe and implementing price controls, success has been limited. The prospect of Western nations disregarding potential sanctions violations and allowing Russian oil to infiltrate the European market cannot be dismissed. It is also anticipated that the West may not officially lift or relax restrictions on Russia's oil sector, irrespective of the situation, to uphold their firm stance. The likelihood of numerous European nations ignoring potential sanctions breaches, thereby allowing Russian oil to make its way into the European market, cannot be ignored. UBS Bank forecasts that the Brent crude oil prices may fluctuate between $90 and $100 per barrel in the foreseeable future, amidst growing apprehensions of a large-scale conflict in the Middle East disrupting oil supplies.